I knew we weren't supposed to be there, not because of any warning sign, not because we'd crossed a fence, but because the trail disappeared the moment we turned around. 1 second, it stretched behind us like any ordinary hiking path. The next, there was nothing. Only dense forest, no footprints, no opening through the trees. Ryan stopped walking. "Guys, where's the trail?" Nobody answered. Emily pulled out her GPS. The blue dot showed us standing in the middle of untouched forest. No trail, no campsite, no landmarks, nothing. Noah slowly turned in a circle. "I've got a bad feeling about this." So did I, but at that point, we'd already walked too far to pretend nothing was wrong. This is Tales of the Dark. A viewer recently sent me this experience and asked to remain anonymous. I've changed a few names to protect their privacy, but everything else has been told exactly as they remembered it. There were 4 of us, me, Ryan, Emily, and Noah. We'd been hiking together for years. None of us were reckless. We planned every trip weeks in advance, downloaded offline maps, marked emergency exits, shared our live locations with family. We'd explored dozens of forests. Nothing had ever gone seriously wrong until that weekend. Our destination was a remote section of state forest that had recently reopened after wildfire restoration. Most hikers stayed near the main trails. We preferred the quieter areas. Around noon, we reached the end of the marked route, according to every map we had. That was as far as the trail went. Ryan looked ahead. "Looks like that's it." We were about to turn back when Noah noticed something. "Hold on." About 30 feet ahead, a narrow dirt path disappeared between 2 massive pine trees. It looked well maintained. The grass had been cut, low branches had been trimmed. It looked newer than the official hiking trail. Emily checked her phone. "It isn't on the map." Ryan smiled. "Maybe it's just new." I wasn't convinced. State parks usually updated their trail maps quickly, especially new ones still. Curiosity won. We followed it. The forest immediately became quieter, not silent, just different. No distant hikers, no airplanes, even the birds seemed farther away. The path remained perfectly clean, not a fallen branch, not a single weed growing through it. Almost as if someone maintained it every morning. Yet, we hadn't passed another person after 20 minutes. We found the first strange thing, a wooden trail marker, freshly painted. It simply read, Camp 7. Ryan looked around. "I don't remember seeing that online." Emily searched every hiking app she had. Nothing, no Camp 7, no unofficial campsite, no old campground, nothing. We kept walking. Another 10 minutes later, the trees opened into a clearing. There it was, a campground, at least 10 campsites arranged in a circle, fire pits, picnic tables. A small wooden ranger station. Everything looked normal until we looked closer. A campfire was still burning, not roaring, just glowing red beneath a layer of ash. Ryan crouched beside it. "It's warm." Emily frowned. Someone was just here, but there was nobody. Every tent stood open, sleeping bags still inside, backpacks leaning against trees, camping chairs arranged around the fire, one coffee mug still half full. It looked as though an entire group had stood up and walked away together without taking anything. Noah called out, "Hello." Only echoes answered. Ryan laughed nervously. Maybe they went hiking. Emily pointed toward the backpacks. They left everything, phones, wallets, food. Nobody leaves all of that behind. We searched the nearest tent. Inside were neatly folded clothes, a flashlight, trail maps. Everything looked untouched. No signs of panic. No struggle, no blood, nothing. Then Noah found something. A visitor log sitting inside the ranger station. The cover was dusty. The pages weren't. Ryan opened it. Most entries were years old. Families, weekend campers, scout groups. Then the handwriting changed. The last few pages contained only names, no comments. No dates, just names. Ryan frowned. "I know that name." He pointed to one entry, Daniel Brooks. Emily immediately looked at him. "The guy from the news." Ryan nodded. Daniel Brooks, the college student who disappeared during a camping trip 3 years earlier. His body was never found. Emily quickly searched her phone. The missing person article appeared instantly. Same name, same spelling, same hometown. My stomach tightened. We checked another name, another missing hiker, different year, different state, same result, the entire last page. Every name belonged to someone officially listed as missing. Noah quietly closed the book. I think we should leave. Nobody argued. As we packed our gear, I noticed something hanging beside the ranger station door. 4 metal hooks, 3 were empty, 1 held a set of car keys. Ryan picked them up. A small keychain hung beside them. It read, Parking Lot B. We'd parked in Parking Lot B. Ryan slowly looked at us. These are mine. None of us laughed. He emptied his pockets. His own keys were gone. The keys on the hook had the same scratch across the metal, the same faded blue keychain, the same bottle opener attached to the ring. Emily whispered, how did they get here? Nobody had an answer. Ryan quietly hung them back. I don't want them. We left the ranger station. Halfway across the clearing, Noah suddenly froze. He was staring toward the edge of the trees. What? He slowly pointed. A man stood between the pines, too far away to see clearly. Wearing a dark green ranger uniform, he wasn't moving. Just watching us, Ryan waved. Hey, the man didn't respond. Emily lifted her camera the moment she zoomed in. The man stepped behind a tree. She lowered the camera. He'll come back. He didn't. Ryan walked toward the trees. Nobody was there, no footprints. No broken branches, nothing, as if the forest had swallowed him. Emily checked the photo she'd taken. The trees were there, the clearing was there, but the man was missing from the image. We all saw him. The camera hadn't. That was enough. We started back toward the trail we'd entered from. The walk felt shorter. Within 15 minutes, we should have reached the entrance. Instead, we arrived at another campground, the same fire pit, the same tents, the same ranger station. Ryan stopped. No. Emily looked around in disbelief. We walked the opposite direction. Noah opened the visitor log again. It was the same book, except there was one new entry written across the bottom of the final page. No one had seen it before. 4 names, mine, Ryan's, Emily's, Noah's. No date, no comment, just our names, as if someone had been expecting us all along. Ryan slammed the visitor log shut. Nobody said a word. We all knew those names hadn't been there before. Emily grabbed the book. She flipped through every page. The ink looked old, not fresh. As if our names had been written there years ago. Noah backed away from the desk. We're leaving. This time, nobody disagreed. We followed the trail out of the campground, or at least, we thought we did. 20 minutes later, the trees opened again, the same clearing, the same fire pit, the same tents, the same ranger station. Ryan looked at the compass on his watch. It says we're walking south. Emily checked her phone. My GPS says we're standing still. None of it made sense. I looked down at the dirt. Fresh footprints, 4 sets are footprints. They led into the campground, none led out. Noah whispered, don't look behind you. Of course, Ryan turned around. The trail we just used was gone. Only trees, nothing else. My heart started racing. Then, a radio crackled inside the ranger station. Static, followed by a calm voice. If anyone is in Camp 7, please report to the office. The 4 of us stared at each other. There was no electricity, no antennas, no power. The voice came again. If anyone is in Camp 7, you are not authorized to remain. Ryan slowly walked toward the radio. It was covered in dust. The batteries had corroded years ago. There was no way it should have worked. Then it went silent. Emily picked up a map from the desk. It wasn't a hiking map, it was an evacuation map. Every campground was listed. Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3. The numbering stopped at Camp 6. Camp 7 wasn't on it. Ryan looked at me. So what is this place? Nobody answered. Outside, we heard footsteps, several people walking through the forest. We rushed outside. No one was there. Only the sound of footsteps circling the clearing, never getting closer, never moving farther away, always hidden behind the trees. Noah grabbed his backpack. I'm done. He ran toward the forest. Wait, we chased after him. The footsteps stopped. A minute later, we found Noah standing perfectly still. He wasn't moving. He was staring at a wooden sign nailed to a tree. It looked brand new. The words were carved neatly into the wood. Welcome to Camp 7, established 1984, closed 1989. Ryan frowned. Closed. Emily pointed lower. Someone had scratched another sentence beneath it. Still accepting visitors. A cold breeze moved through the trees, for the first time all day. Every bird went silent. Then, we heard laughter, children somewhere deep in the forest. Noah whispered, "Do you hear that?" There were dozens of voices, playing, running, calling to each other, yet the forest around us remained completely empty. Ryan looked toward the sound. "No." I grabbed his arm. "We're not following it." He nodded. We turned away. That's when Emily noticed something hanging from a branch. 4 wooden tags, each carved with a name. Mine, Ryan's, Emily's, Noah's. The wood looked old, weathered, like it had been hanging there for years. Ryan pulled his tag down the moment he touched it. A loud engine echoed through the trees. A truck, we all heard it. Then another sound, a vehicle door slamming. Voices, real voices, park rangers. We ran toward them. Branches whipped across our faces. The trees began to thin. Suddenly, we burst onto the official hiking trail. 2 park rangers stared at us. One looked genuinely relieved. "Thank God." The other immediately asked, "How many are with you?" I answered without thinking. 4. The ranger slowly counted. Me, Emily. Noah, he looked confused. "That's 3. Ryan wasn't beside us. I spun around. He'd been directly behind me. The trail was empty. We shouted his name. No answer. The rangers organized a search immediately. More officers arrived, search dogs, drones, volunteers. They searched for 2 days. Nothing, no footprints. No backpack, no clothing. No sign Ryan had ever entered the forest. When we showed them our group photos, every picture contained only 3 people. Me, Emily, Noah. Ryan was gone, not blurred, not erased. The space where he'd been standing simply showed empty background. The police assumed we were suffering from exhaustion, stress, shared confusion, until they checked the visitor log, the ranger station, the campground. None of it existed according to every official map. There had never been a Camp 7. The ranger quietly told us something before we left. There was talk about an old campground decades ago, but no records survived. I always thought it was just a story. Months passed. Emily refused to hike again. Noah sold all of his camera equipment. I tried to move on. Then one evening, I received an email from a stranger. No message, only one attachment, a satellite image of the forest. The sender had circled something in red, a narrow dirt trail leading to a clearing. The image had been captured 3 days earlier, long after we'd left. I zoomed in. 4 tiny figures were walking toward the campground. One wore a bright red jacket. Emily. One carried a large hiking backpack. Noah. One wore my grey cap, and the 4th wore Ryan's blue jacket. The problem was, the 3 of us had been sitting together in my apartment that day. We were hundreds of miles away. I checked the image date again. It was correct. I checked the satellite company. It was real. I never found out who sent it. A week later, the image disappeared from the website, as if it had never existed. I still hike, but only on marked trails, and whenever I reach the end of a path, I never take the one that isn't on the map, because sometimes the trail isn't leading you somewhere. It's adding you to the list of people who never came back. That was the end of this story. If you've ever experienced something you still can't explain, or have a strange story of your own, send it to Tales of the Dark. Your story could become the next nightmare featured on this channel. If you are new here, subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story gives you a nightmare.